لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. Allah says in the Quran, when Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying, لِصَاحِبِهِ, his companion, his friend, لَا تَحْزَنْ. Allah named him Sahib. And he is named Atiq, he is named Atqa. وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. In Surah Al-Layl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. Only the one who is Atqa, most God-fearing, most pious, most religious. So Allah named him Atqa. And this is by unanimous agreement among the scholars of Ahadith, Ibn Kathir, Tabari and Qurtubi, and the rest of the scholars of Ahadith, that this ayah was revealed for Abi Bakr. وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. The one who will stay away from the hellfire is the one who is most God-fearing. He is known as Atiq. He is known as the one who is freed. He was freed from the hellfire. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to him, O Abu Bakr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has freed you from the hellfire. So you're Atiq. You're free. He was born 2 years after the affair of Abraha al-Ashrami, which is the camel that came, Abraha al-Ashrami came to break the Kaaba, and it was 2 years after the field, the year of the field. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was born a few days or a few weeks after this affair of the elephant, Ashab al-Fil, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anh was 2 years after the year of the elephant. Before his Islam, he was a friend of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He knew him since in the days of Jahiliyyah. So he was a friend of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Islam made him more closely attached to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Islam only strengthened and fostered and fortified the relation they had in Jahiliyyah. So he knew him before. What was his description? What was his description? What did he look like? He was, the book says, medium to short. So he wasn't a very tall person, he was medium to short. Average. He was slim. He was slim. And in fact, most of the companions were slim anyway. For you to have folds in your belly, it was something rare. Today, the man gives salam, his belly enter the masjid, then he comes following. Hubbud dunya, love for the dunya. Too much eating, subhanAllah. Every one of the companions, they were slim and trim. They were sleek. They were fast. They knew about food. They knew about tremendous, delicious dishes. But they preferred the life of the akhirah. So they kept it simple. Their homes were square rooms. Today we have 5-6 rooms, and this is Ahmad's room, and this is Zainab's room, and this is the guest room, and this is my store room. Today we live large, subhanAllah. They were simple in their food, and they had a simple room, subhanAllah. Where was the washroom? Outside in the bush. Subhanallah. The more dunya we have, the harder the hearts become. The less dunya you have, the more you strive for akhirah. This is reality. And this was exemplified in the Khairul Ummah, the best of nations. They weren't best of nations because they have mansions and they had palaces and the best of animals. No. No, they attached themselves to the akhirah. He had bones on his face. You could see his bone. He was fair in complexion. So he was kind of, the book says, abyad. But abyad basically is like fair in complexion. Ahmar means when you're red, like you could see the man's blood. So he was fair in complexion. He was a traveler and he was a businessman. He goes everywhere. Subhanallah. The best of man, honorable and noble, atqa, freed from hell, and yet he was a businessman. Meaning we don't sit in the masjid and say, who and expect ghosts to fall down from the heavens? No, you have to go and work. You have to go and till the lands and reap the fruits. So he used to travel everywhere. He was a businessman and he was very famous among the tribes. He goes meeting people everywhere. And Imam Muslim says he was an expert in genealogy. He had the knowledge. He was a scholar of firasa. When I watch this brother here, I can say maybe he's from Indonesia. I watch this one, I say maybe he's from Pakistan. I watch this one, I say maybe he's from Bukhara. I watch my friend and say maybe he's Bangladesh. You see, so here I can watch you and maybe have a guess. But Abu Bakr, when he looked at you, he knew exactly what the kalam is on about. He was amazing, especially in the trips of Hajj. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would take him on the trips to Hajj to meet the people, to ask them to give him support. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu would be the one who would be speaking. In fact, many of the people would come shaking the hand of Abu Bakr and said, we heard of you and we heard of your message. He says, no, my friend, this one here, he is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In many cities, they only knew the face of Abu Bakr, and he was a spokesman, he was a secretary, he was the one who is in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How about his family, ayyuhan nas, respected brothers and sisters? One of his wives was Qutayla bint Abdul Uzza, and she was divorced in Jahiliyyah. From this wife he had Abdullah, who was killed, who the arrow killed him in the siege of Ta'if. And he died when Abu Bakr took the caliphate. And of his other daughter from this same Qutayla was Asma. And Asma radiallahu anha, she lived for 100 years and she was never suffering from senility. She was sound as any soundness can be. And she never lost even one of her tooth, subhanallah. What a blessed woman. She never lost any of her mental abilities. She narrated 56 ahadith. Her husband was Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, one of the 10 Mubashirin bil Jannah. And he put his sword into he was such an outstanding man, this Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, that in one of the battles he saw this man fully made of iron, shields of iron. He took his sword and he made sure he put it in the eyes of this man, and he stamped the sword in this man's eye, and the sword was bent. It was kept for many generations, subhanallah, because of this sword. So this is one of the children of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. His second wife was Roman bint Amir, and he got Abdul Rahman and Aisha from her. Abdul Rahman and Aisha radiallahu anha. Abdul Rahman, he accepted Islam in the very later days of after the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah, and Aisha radiallahu anha was the wife and the most beloved of all women to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She was a virgin, and he married her at the age of 6, and she was in the care of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She was one that is inquisitive, and she asked everything that she could possibly ask. She is known as the world's greatest female scholar in the history of Islam. Aisha radiallahu anha, there is no book that can be hadith book. There is no book that can be called a book of tafsir. There is no book that can be called a book of fiqh. There is no book that can be called a book of hadith unless they have the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. So she was outstanding. She was rated as number